makes your day.
Hey, out of the way. Get up, kid.
Up. The stars in
Up.
the sky.
Got another one here. Bryan Callen. Is there anyone more pathetic than Bryan Callen right now? You know, and if you're still holding out, if you're one of these people in the comments, when are you coming back to fight? He's not coming back to The Fighter and the Kid. The name's been changed.
I even saw a post about Bryan Callen's new podcast on The Fighter and the Kid Reddit, and they were like, I'm pretty excited to see what's going to happen. And it's
Nothing
like,
is going to happen. Bryan
me?
Callen has left. He's finished. He's pathetic and he's embarrassing. And by the way, he was pathetic and embarrassing before this rape allegation. I never met, what the hell is this? National Archives. Joseph Biden. What the hell is this? You know, Bryan Callen was always terrible. I don't understand why anybody liked The Fighter and the Kid to begin with. You were brainwashed by Joe Rogan, a guy that you claim you hate, and that was his good friend. And then you started watching The Fighter and the Kid with him and Brendan Schaub. This Fighter and the Kid Reddit is up to 30,000 people now. And they just talk about Bryan Callen's return. He's not returning, and even if he did, what is he going to say that's so great? What do you think is going to come out of his mouth? Here he is. He's everywhere. He's doing his own show. He's doing his own thing. There's nothing coming out of this man's mouth that is worth a cent. All right? What do you want him back for? What do you think he's going to do?
His podcast with Candace Owens later
yeah,
to
of course.
prove it.
And by the way, imagine a rape allegation taking down a man in this way. Talk about cancel culture. He canceled himself. Nobody, and I mean nobody, said that he couldn't do what he wants to do. He was not, arrested. He was not canceled by anybody except himself because he knows he's in deep trouble. I would love to talk to his ex-wife. Remember that divorce? 12 years, gets a divorce. Does he even visit his kids? Is he even allowed to? So he's got another podcast. I think he knows Sam Tripoli's days are numbered. Imagine in this day and age thinking that it would be to do a conspiracy show on Patreon and Vimeo. You know, all these people, they have Patreons and they use Vimeo to host. Both of these platforms are so anti-conspiracy right now and trying to wipe out. So for Bryan Callen to go through what he went through and then go, I got it. I'll just do a show with Sam Tripp. I mean, could you be stupider? Could you care less about your kid's future?
Well, someone actually just sent me this clip. I don't fully know what it's about yet.
This is Bryan Callen got a call from Vimeo.
I haven't watched it, though.
Sam Tripoli should be in jail. Seriously. Remember when I first brought up QAnon a year or two ago? I said, this QAnon is crazy. And people in our chat goes, Mike, dude, don't fall for their trolling. QAnon is a gag. Really? They're almost like a terrorist organization now. I mean, they really, the only reason why we haven't done that is because there's too many of them. And we don't, the FBI doesn't know what to do. But I was watching an interesting thing. I wasn't, but Jules put this on. It was that documentary on Netflix about that cult, the Heaven's Gate. I loved Heaven's Gate growing up. They were the people, I think, that did the Nikes, right? The Nike shoe and the Kool-Aid, and they killed themselves, right?
They
or you
didn't
didn't get to that?
Kool-Aid.
They
They are
didn't?
the ones who all killed themselves because they thought they were going
How
to
did they kill
another
themselves?
planet. I think they put bags over their heads.
Oh, well, did they do the Nikes? Were they the
That,
Nikes?
but I was only half watching.
Heaven's Gate, they got a great logo. Andy Warhol, I think, was the leader. But she had the Netflix show on, and they said, I just heard this opening line, and they go, the Heaven's Gate cult. And remember, when I was a kid, all you heard about are how terrible cults were, how dangerous they were. We need to stop cults. And they open the documentary like this. They go, the Heaven's Gate cult started because, they thought there was this conspiracy theory about how the government, aliens or something. The whole cult got started over this small group of people believing in this wild conspiracy theory. The conspiracy theory that they believed was way less and way more innocent than what this QAnon believes.
The Heaven's Gate guys actually seem kind of nice and
the
cool.
Heaven's
All they
Gate
wanted to do
guys.
was go to space. They weren't hurting anyone but themselves.
All of those cults that we grew up terrified of. I mean, I don't know about you, but when I was a kid, there was nothing scarier than a cult. QAnon is bigger and scarier and more dangerous than any cult we've ever had in human history. At least Heaven's Gate wasn't online They weren't mixing with
Well,
us.
they had some cool sites, actually.
Well, I don't know, but they all stayed on a ranch somewhere.
They minded their own business.
Remember when cults all stayed in a little hut? They didn't really do anything to other people. QAnon is mixed. It's mixed with people. Sam Tripoli is like one of their, leaders. He should be locked in jail. So for Bryan Callen to do a show with this guy is the craziest thing. It's like, do you want to lose your family? Because that's what they're doing. They're narrowing in on people like this. They're trying to figure out a way to get you guys all off the planet. Trust me. That's not censorship. We need them gone. We really need these conspiracy guys gone. So let's see. Bryan Callen got a call from Vimeo. Here he is with Sam Tripoli, the biggest nut that I've ever met. What's crazy is Joe Rogan's still friends with him. Bryan Callen's still friends with him. This would be like being friends with Donkey Lips in this era. Donkey Lips is less dangerous than Sam Tripoli, who has about 9 kids right now with a semi-retarded, bloated, disgusting pig wife. Here is Bryan Callen, big spread, big nuts. He still thinks women want anything to do with him. Imagine being a woman and going near this guy right now. All right, let's see what they say.
Isaac Weissman. Isaac, tell this dude about how great Rockfin is.
Oh,
Is it
man,
good?
it's the best, dude. Uncensored. They don't mess with you. They just let you do your thing. I love it.
I gotta make money. That's all I give a fuck about.
Whoa, wait. I got to make money. That's all I give a fuck about. You heard it here first, folks. I got to make money. That's all I give a fuck about. Oh, yeah, this is a great way of making money. Sitting with Sam Tripoli in this nonsense room with a fake tree. Did you hear that? I can't believe he would let that fly out of his mouth. Look at this guy's face here when he says this. How deceitful.
He's the
Look
devil.
at this guy, man. I mean, really, the Heaven's Gate cult is like more warm.
I would hang out with them for
Yes.
dinner.
Look at him.
Isaac, tell this dude about how great Rockfin is.
Oh,
Is it
man,
good?
it's the best, dude. Uncensored. They don't mess with you. They just let you do your thing. I love it.
I gotta make money. That's all I give a fuck about.
Dude, then why don't
Woo. He loves money. I hope they take your kids from you. I really do. I like a man with no kids. I don't feel bad for these families. All right, let's see what else he says here. Vimeo supposedly called them. They're worried. Man, Sam Tripoli not looking too good over here, too.
Look at his
these
giant
thunder
thighs.
Those are thunderous, man.
Holy-
Those are denistic. Look
He
at
has,
that.
Like, those huge. He has like a tiny top and huge thighs now, like
Yeah.
a woman.
Well, this is one of those guys who demands that the prices of jeans be the same price for every size. How is that fair to manufacturers? They want 4XLs to be the same size as a small. That's like, that would be like getting, I mean, really, when somebody gets a size, jeans this size, that's like, for the manufacturer, that's like if we gave you 5 pairs of jeans for the same price. You know what I mean? You're really ripping people off. These fat sizes got to go. All right, let's hear this Vimeo part.
you do it?
Then you definitely should do it, man.
Really?
It's
Yeah,
the
that
fucking best.
It's all about that crypto, man. That crypto keeps raising in
How
value.
about that crypto, son? That
His
crypto.
eyes lit up.
So we may be pushed over there anyway because apparently Vimeo has no time for conspiracy stuff.
Whoa! We may be pushed over to the crypto. Apparently, Vimeo has no time for conspiracy. Can you
and
imagine
look,
this?
Sam Tripoli's excited because that means the conspiracy goes deeper.
I know, but it's like, are you really that excited? Both of you are fathers of 15. What is so exciting? You're gambling with your entire livelihood. It's like with Gavin McInnes, these people feel bad for them. These guys know the rules. They constantly break them. They constantly put their family in jeopardy. I mean, they're the only people to blame for this. You can't go into a store. If I went into a work with my corporate job with a loaded gun screaming the N-word, you wouldn't go, man, your job, all they care about is censorship, huh? They got rid of you? Oh, what fucking pussies. No, you would agree that the gun and the N-word were too much. It's the same thing. You know the rules. You're joining these sites that you claim you hate. You know, you don't want to build your own stuff. That would be too costly and too time-consuming. So you join these sites, you constantly break their rules, and then you play the victim when they oh, I got a family. You shouldn't have had the family. Neither of you have any right to have a family. Like Brendan Shaw, we'll get to him. with the I want that shaking a baby music bed in the background for Brendan Schaub and his shooken family.
Oh, really?
Here, listen to
Oh,
this.
did you get dings?
We're getting dings, but we'll see. What
I told you about that.
Yeah. Vimeo kicked me off too. So.
Oh,
really? Yeah.
Vimeo kicked me off.
Well, if that happens, we'll make it a thing. You know?
and I'll tell you this, it's not censorship. I was on Vimeo for 3 years doing 8 hours of Redbar, saying all the words. They don't kick people off for comedy. They kick off psychos. I really need people to understand this. All the people removed from Twitter and banned from this, they're going through the DMs. There's a history of psychotic activity. Okay? It's not as simple as, these comedians and their jokes. They always want to land on, and we'll see Bryan Callen coming up. He wants to blame his psychotic past on, they want to get comedians off for jokes. How come I'm never getting thrown off for jokes? I'm making the worst jokes you could possibly think of. It's because the people at Vimeo, they go, he's not a bad person. He's not trouble. He's not dangerous. They see Bryan Callen. They know. All these people know. They know the inside. And these people that get banned from Twitter, they're reading the DMs. They're seeing Anthony Cumia sit there with Gavin all day talking about how they hate the ends. Okay? They make their decision based on a lot of factors here. All right? All 3 of these people kicked off Vimeo in 2 weeks. I was on there for 3 years. Vimeo knew me very well. I was constantly arguing with them about quality, and they had watched the shows. They didn't care about stuff like that. They care about dangerous people. Okay?
About that.
Yeah. Vimeo kicked me off too. So.
Really? Yeah.
Vimeo kicked me off.
Well, if that happens, we'll make it a thing. And we'll just go over to rock
It's just
band.
unbelievable.
Where will you go?
dude.
Rock band?
Yeah.
It's just unbelievable. It's so funny what's going on now.
It's
like,
not.
oh man, looks like we're beating Corona, huh? It just happens to be when Joe Biden got fucking inaugurated. It's unbelievable.
Yep.
It's all works
He
out.
says, yep, take his kids away. Take his kids away. I wouldn't even. Well, I can't say that. I can't say that. This is sick, man. These people are dangerous. They're really criminal. This is criminal activity. They're lucky that they're not in jail. I really do hope they get sentenced to life in prison.
So well.
If you look at the number of ICU beds versus.
Do we really need this dude? The young guy. The guy. Look at this hair, dude.
Yeah, Anthony, forget it, Danny. For that,
Yeah, don't worry about Anthony. It's not your fault. Fucking anal retentive over
Let's
here.
just go. Come on, we got to be on that stuff.
This guy's flowing. The hair is flowing. You worry about fucking numbers.
What a
No, he's
good
got
show.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
How low could one man sink? There's a reason why Joe Rogan won't even mention you. You were his best friend for 30 years. He won't even mention you. He's disgusted. And he hangs out with Justin Wren. We're going to go after this Justin Wren today. Have you seen this guy, this pygmy man? We finally have a clip from Rogan. They put it on their own site. Should we do Candace with him right now?
Sure.
Let's do Candace. How low can Bryan Callen go? He went on Candace Owens, and he's going to try again. Remember, Bryan got accused of raping a girl. Everyone said, ew, I could see how that could be true. Yuck. Fuck you, Callen. And now Callen, he's reworking history. He's rewording it to comedians being canceled for jokes. Have there ever been a comedian canceled for jokes? Are there any comedians canceled for jokes? Chris D'Elia was canceled for alleged pedophilia. Okay? With underage girls. Who else was canceled for jokes? I really want to know. Who are these comedians canceled for jokes? Do we have anybody?
Ari Shaffir?
Well, was he canceled, though? Was he kicked off of anything, or did black people threaten him in masses?
Mostly the masses.
That's the thing. He said this terrible thing about Kobe, and black people heard, hey, if you don't want black people to hear it, don't announce it to the public. I always tell people this all the time. It's like, we do our show. There's a reason we do it for you guys here, and I don't broadcast it out publicly everywhere. And they go, what the hell? They didn't like NBOP? What the hell? Black Twitter didn't enjoy NBOP? What's wrong with these pussies? He went there. He said this terrible thing about Kobe, helicopter man. And he said it to a bunch of black people. It got out. That's the problem with being too big. So you want it all. You want everybody to know who you are. and then you say this thing that you know they're not going to agree with.
Oh,
and then
yeah,
you,
Shane Gillis is
Shane
one.
Gillis. He didn't get canceled. He lost his job because he can't be on a mainstream, advertiser-driven network television show while saying chinks. It's bad business. He didn't get canceled. They didn't stop him from doing anything that he wants to do. Yeah, you can't be on SNL. All right, the biggest, most mainstream program we have. Sorry, it doesn't look good for them. So the comedians are getting canceled for jokes. They're still allowed to do whatever they please. And Bryan Callen wants to reword his rape allegation. You know, they never talk about the rape thing. Now it's, I can't believe they're canceling people for jokes.
She does an hour podcast with Bryan Callen, and she mentions the sexual assault thing one tiny time,
Yeah.
and then the rest of the time they just talk about people being canceled for words.
And she's bad. Listen, we don't hate anybody because they're cool. We hate them because they're con artists, scammers, schemers, liars. Candace Owens is all of the above. She's as bad as they come. So don't get confused. You know, a lot of people, they're confused because these terrible people are using this free speech thing, okay, which a lot of us agree with, right? We're all for free speech. We're all for our rights. But these terrible con artists, these lying sneaks, they use that to trick you into supporting them, okay? Candace Owens is a comment. I mean, you could go through her past and she's a thief. She's the worst. But then she'll be like, we should not be censoring comics. And you're like, I'm with Candace Owens. You don't need to align with somebody like that. The idea is good. She's not the person, though, to align with. She's using you. You're being used. And here's Bryan Callen in a suit. Look at this guy with his suit. It is really pathetic. Let's go to our first time code. The beginning. Bunch of BS. Let's hear this. This podcast episode contains explicit language.
All right.
Prager, you, I love
All right,
this
so I'm
guy.
going to do a soft open, and then I'm going to cut to you, introduce you, and we'll get right into it. You can literally say whatever you want.
Cool. I talk all the time.
Improv's this thing anyways.
Exactly.
Right? All right, ready? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are rolling
You
into...
know, Josh Denny loves Candace Owen. Do you want to be like Josh Denny? He loves her. She's beautiful. She's brave. She's cunning. She's a thief.
Another episode of the Candace Owens Show. Many of you who follow me know that I was definitely probably the first person who spoke out against the Me Too movement.
Oh!
When the Me Too movement started trending on Twitter, both the left and the right thought that this was a protected space and a conversation, a platform for women to come out and speak about sexual assault in the past. Now, I immediately spoke out against it, not because I think it's a good thing when women are sexually assaulted, not because I think it's a good thing if women are raped, but because I also think it is a bad thing if men are accused of crimes and forced to deal with the penalties of those crimes without due process. What I saw really trending on Twitter was a bunch of women saying things happened and these women being applauded and men being castigated without any further exploration into the allegations against them.
Yeah, we lost
Now-
a lot of really good men during the Me Too movement. A lot of great guys.
Yeah, I miss them.
I mean, really, you go down the list, every one of those guys we would hate and wish they were locked up for other reasons, right? Think about that. Was there anybody good? Like the best guy that got accused that maybe shouldn't have been was like Jeremy Piven. But I mean, I thought we all hated fucking Piven for being the biggest douche ever. Remember that? Knock him out. Who gives a fuck? Cut his head off. You know, I don't know why you feel so sorry for these men. Aziz Ansari, you hated him. Chris Hardwick, he sucked.
she feels sorry for them
Chris
because they
D'Elia?
give her money.
Bryan Callen, these are all the worst people in the world. Who cares if the allegations are true? You know, they're getting popped because they're bad people, okay? You know, you could, like, treat a girl like shit and do all this terrible stuff to her if you're still, like, a good guy. That's why you don't see musicians going down all the time. Musicians raped more than anybody. Nobody comes out against them because, you know what, the music's good. They're
They
still
got a
doing
beautiful voice.
They're still doing good for the world. You know, like I'm sure like Steven Tyler and Aerosmith, they ran trains on people. They treated people like shit. Motley Crue, you know, of course, you know, put women's heads through walls and stuff, these hotel rooms. The reason nobody comes out against musicians is because subconsciously the women know They're providing a service for the world, okay? These songs. But then they see Chris D'Elia and Bryan Callen. They go, no. You're not getting away with this one, all right? With that crap that you do, all that shit comedy. Fuck this. So you never see musicians really go down. You just see douchebag, shitty, good-for-nothing actors and terrible comedians. And who else? Who else has been good? Who's been popped? So yeah,
R. Kelly, I guess, is a musician.
R. Kelly, but I mean, I don't think that was an accusation. I mean, R. Kelly, although that's the one that I go, R. Kelly was probably the nicest one out of the bunch, because what he was doing to the women, he thought that they would. I mean, he really didn't have any evilness to him. I like R. Kelly. I don't mind that at all. And by the way, 16-year-old black girl sucking a guy off and getting peed on. She's got no father. She's in the hood. That's not really the same thing as one of these whites. All right, that's what I think. Here's Candace Owens and Bryan Callen. Enjoy.
Of course, even though left and right agreed with this when it was trending, we saw the right break away from this, conservatives realizing that it was, in fact, problematic when we got to the trial of Brett Kavanaugh, a 30-plus
And why the fuck would anyone even enjoy this shit? I mean, this was the stuff, like, when we were kids, if this was on, like, CNN or 60 Minutes, like, kids... Cool people didn't watch this fucking crap.
There's like a group of guys that like constantly watch anti-Me Too content.
Anti-Me Too content. They're like, yes.
I mean, all of the comments on this are like, thank you fucking Candace.
Thank you
I'm so glad that someone is
much.
sticking up for us.
And it's not working, by the way. All this sticking up, I mean, they just hate you even more. They think you're more evil than ever. Look at these urns. This is where Bryan Callen's children will remain, in these urns back here. Imagine setting up your set with a bunch of fake apples, some urns, some flowers. You look like you're in a damn funeral home, mummy.
Zero proof, and yet this man was virtually hung in front of the world.
Callen?
For me, as a black...
He was virtually hung in front of the world? Where? They said, hey, he raped me. And then people go, ugh, he's gross.
And then
That
we
was
all
it.
Forgot, except
And
us.
then he canceled his own show to save the advertisers that he was still getting a piece of. You see, the fighter and the kid, he was still making money off those ads. Okay, so he removed himself from the show so that he could keep collecting the ad money. Otherwise, if he stayed, the advertisers would leave. It's not a hanging. It's not a hanging. That's deceitful. That's disgusting. If he really cared about this, he would have stuck it through. He would have ditched the sponsors and kept going. But he didn't. He wimped out because he needed the money.
American, it was reminiscent of the things that I learned about the civil rights era, when white women could make allegations and simply be believed on the basis of their word. My ancestors got hung. Here to discuss this and more with me, I have comedian Bryan Callen.
Yes.
Whoa!
Welcome to the Candace Owens Show.
Thank you. I'm a fan.
Oh, he's a fan. You look great. What a great way to live your life. Look at this. Look at this guy, and he's gone fully gray. People go, oh, my God, he went gray. No, he was dyeing his hair all those years because he was afraid to look old. He wouldn't be able to get his cool acting roles like the cop in an MTV zombie show. All right. He dyed his hair. He was a fraud. He was an actor. And now that he can't act anymore, he doesn't have to dye his hair every day to get the young roles. So he's free. Okay,
he got a little bit of Botox for this.
Oh, yeah. Well, he's got
sharpened
Botox. He
up.
gets plastic surgery, does smoothing exercises. The women thing is over, sex addict. Okay. We never played that weird story.
Yes, people are saying he looks like Chris Watts.
Who's Chris Watts?
That guy who murdered his wife and kids.
Yes. And believe me, this guy's murdered wives and kids. Did we ever play that story that he told about that orgy he went to? You know, this guy.
We did.
Oh, we did. Every week, let me remind you, every week he'd put on the mask and go to hotel rooms in L.A. and do orgies. Men, women, God knows what else was there. And they'd offer him. He didn't know anybody at the orgy. One of those things where you got to have a passcode to come in the room. They slide a little panel. What's the password? Banana boat. Come on in. And a guy with a giant fucking axe, lets him in. He's got a mask. I'm not kidding. He's told these stories. He's a sex addict. He's a sick, disgusting, perverted guy. Shouldn't be around these kids.
Joining.
I'm happy to be here.
I'm always happy to have comedians on here because one of the spaces that's definitely under attack is just being able to tell a joke, right?
Yeah.
And this used to be, we needed comedians in the world because comedians actually bring us all.
Yeah, they changed this narrative to we're not allowed to tell jokes. No. You're not allowed to rape people. Okay? That's all. You're allowed to tell jokes. Even Whitney Cummings was bitching about it. She goes, can we stop with all these comedians on her latest show? Maybe we could find that.
Yeah, I'll pull it up.
With Annie Letterman. So I've been calling her Lederman. Well, that's how it's spelled. You know, even Whitney Cummings said, could we stop? And she's referring to Callen, her friend who she ditched. She's referring to Andrew Schultz, who was just on the show. All these guys who just keep talking about censorship, but they do nothing that should be censored. You know, all of these guys who talk about censorship are guys who are really trying to mask their evil deeds, all right, and cry censorship as the reason that they're kicked off. It's what Josh Denny's doing. It's what Gavin's doing. It's what Kumi is doing.
Well, it's because all of Callen's fans and people like Sam Tripoli are like, they got you too, man. You were too close to the truth. Your voice was too loud. You were speaking out, so that's why they got you.
Nope. You were accused of raping a girl. Everyone said, I could see how that could happen. Yuck. Out of here, Bryan. And if you were such a good guy, I doubt your good friend Whitney would turn her back on you. If you were such a good guy, Dalia and all these people, I doubt everybody would go, bye. You know? It just doesn't happen like that. You were a nasty guy, and then finally they heard these rumors that, okay, that's enough.
Someone in the chat says, imagine a rapist garbage collector saying, I'm getting fired for picking up trash.
Yeah. It's disgusting. She's a real con man.
Closer together. They make fun of everyone. Yeah. And then you kind of realize, all right, it's actually funny. We all kind of suck a little bit. You know, we all have our good things and bad things. And now we're suddenly in an era where comedians, they're digging up tweets from 20 years ago.
Nope.
He said this word and now he needs to be canceled.
Yeah. Well, art's always, I think good art has always been something that disturbs.
Oh, you're an artist, I see. Oh, okay. Can I see some of the paintings or
You
songs?
disturb, all right. You disturb.
Yeah, you disturb us with your art, okay? Painting the whole hotel room red with her period blood. Disgusting.
You know, especially satire. Satire was always something that rulers were terrified of.
You don't do satire. You sit around with Sam Tripoli and say that coronavirus is fake. That is not art. It's not satire. You just do conspiracy theories. You talk about history. You lie. You peacock. What art, what satire have you ever even attempted?
And you know, I mean, I think there's a lot of power in being able to point out the contradictions in human behavior. And all of us are a walking contradiction to an extent. So,
and then he does a little smile. If anybody ever smiles while they talk to you,
like,
they are full of
this
shit.
entire thing.
Yeah. Go on.
His face is just too much for me.
He's
that's all.
evil. He's
smirks.
evil. He's lucky he's allowed to even be in front of a camera right now. He should be in front of a judge. He should be in the electric chair.
You know, Bill Burr went crazy on Saturday
People
Night
think
Live.
this is nuts.
And
They think this is worse than I think it is. What a disgusting, despicable man. Imagine wanting him back. There's not another man that could replace this for you. You need this back? What is he saying that you crave and miss so much?
And there were plenty of people saying, you know, my whole family walked out when we heard this. Good. It's all good. That's the American way. You have a right to walk out. You have a right to be disturbed. You have a right to say to boo.
That's all canceling is, by the way. I think people are confused. Canceling is a bunch of people on Twitter making fun of you for being sick. That's it. All right? You don't really lose that much. Maybe a sponsorship. You should have never had a sponsorship to begin with. I don't have any sponsors. That's how I don't get canceled. How does Mike not get a cancel? Well, he doesn't play with companies that would hate what he does. How am I smart enough to figure this out, but all these guys can't? They want the best of both worlds. They want to play with companies that are strictly against what they do and then play the victim when the companies find out what they've done. All right? The only people to blame are them. All right? And now I make more money than Bryan Callen saying way worse shit than he's ever said. So how is it possible? How is it possible? Well, it's because I never been accused of rape yet. And I don't play with any of these people that control my money. I control my own money. I make my own cash. I could do it how I want.
I
Ray
control
Shremmer.
your money, kind of.
Oh, watch out.
For the most part, what's great about being allowed to just speak your mind, it's called original self-expression. And if you feel like you're going to get in trouble, if you feel like your livelihood is going to be affected by speaking your mind, by who you're making fun of, I think we're all in trouble, because stand-up is still the last. I really believe stand-up is the last bastion of free speech.
I totally agree with you.
Yeah, so it's incredibly
Stand-up, yeah, the free speechers of stand-up. You know, we've watched a lot of these stand-ups, these sets, Santino. They're not using free speech. I mean, they're really not saying anything. Watch Joe List. Oh, I was on the airplane the other day. Oh, can you believe it? It's got wheels. Why do they call it an airplane if it's got wheels? It should be called, I don't know. Good enough, right? They're not using free speech. None of these people are. Okay? Don't let them con you into this thing. And again, who are they hurting? Me. They're hurting us. They're hurting people who really need to use this excuse to get out of jams maybe one day. And now the excuse is tarnished by the worst people in the world. All right? They don't hate you because of free speech. All right? They hate you for the con.
important.
Right.
We need more of that, because it just gets people to think. By the way, it also gets you to kind of lower your guard. When a comedian makes fun of my positions, my political positions, my philosophical positions, just who I am as a person, I listen. If it's really good. Sometimes it's just too undeniable.
Right.
And you kind of go, man, I never thought about that when it comes to myself.
Why are you scratching?
And it's important to be able to laugh at yourself. And I think that is the magic when you look at, I can't imagine George Carlin being able to survive in the society that we have today.
George Carlin would despise
Oh,
all of
my
you.
God.
George Carlin would be dead set on ending all of you. Stop talking about George Carlin, okay? By the way, George Carlin was just like an actor in Clerks. He didn't care about any of this shit.
God.
Which just preaches so much political correctness when people like him were just the exact antithesis of political correctness.
But that's because every time, even when you use the word political correctness, my feeling is that being offended isn't an argument. It just isn't. And as soon as I see people who are professionally outraged, generally outraged.
Yeah, they trick you because they're saying all the things that you agree with, and then you're like, oh, man, these guys are funny. No. Please. Do we have any more really good ones
go
from
to
this one?
8:30. This is just
8:30.
a cringe Bryan
Yeah,
moment.
wait till you hear the way these guys posture and pontificate and say these little, look at this guy, man. You ever see me doing like this? I'm probably imitating a dirty. Another example of somebody worse than a Jew. Look at his little claws. What are you trying to claw for, Bryan? 8:30. This is called idea sex. This is going to make you puke.
Articulate, and you have a point of view, a strong one, and you speak your mind. That
Also,
may be
pause.
disturbing.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Every person who talks
Thank-
to Candace Owens calls her articulate.
Yes.
Isn't that the most racist
Yes,
thing? You
I
can go
can't
back,
believe
like,
a
10 seconds
person
to-
with your skin could put together a sentence.
Go back like 10
I know they
seconds.
really always call black people articulate. Articulate. You're so articulate.
Every single person I've heard talk to her.
Yeah. That means
says
you're
that.
racist. That means you can't believe Ooga Booga Ape Lady can put together a sentence. I can't believe it. Most of you are so fried.
Speak your mind. I love watching you on these clips when you're in Congress and things like that, because you're so clear, you're so articulate, and you have a point of view, a strong one, and you speak your mind. That may be disturbing. Thank God. Thank God we have dissenting opinion.
Listen to this.
Right.
Because that's very important. That's kind of the point of having Republicans and Democrats.
Right.
That's almost what the framers wanted, which was government to move slowly. So we had these debates. Do you think there weren't arguments when they were drafting the Constitution? Do you think there weren't arguments when they were drafting the Bill of Rights? You don't think the people had a point of view and they were fighting it out and they came to a compromise?
comes.
It's called idea sex.
Oh, it's called idea sex, says the sex man. I don't want you going near any sex stuff
It's
anymore,
idea
Bryan.
rape.
Yeah. Idea rape. There you go. Idea sex. Oh, God. I hope your kids can relive all your sex stories when they get old enough to understand how disgusting you are.
People had a point of view and they were fighting it out and they came to a compromise. It's called idea sex.
Right.
It's what I talk about in my special. That's the
Right.
idea.
Have you ever heard any of these people, these con men who do interviews? Do you ever hear them disagree with each other in these interviews? Never. Like Josh Denny, this is the same as what Josh Denny does. He'll be on and he'll be spouting all this nonsense, and the guest never says, well, I don't know about that. They always just go, right, yes, right. He goes, it's called idea sex. And she just goes, right.
Or even Tim Dillon had Candace Owens on, and you could tell he was disagreeing with a bunch of stuff she was saying, and he just went, okay, yeah. That's
how you know they're
make a
frauds.
face so that their listeners know that they might disagree, but they never actually disagree with anyone.
That's really how you know they're frauds. You could watch hour after hour these people talk to each other, and there's never a disagreement within what each other are saying. And they're just making shit up. I mean, they're just like making these stories up. What's 11 minutes?
Go to 11 minutes. This is Candace explaining why you should be allowed to say faggot.
Oh, okay. Oh, God, this is a stretch. Listen to this.
This is amazing.
The word faggot. Listen to her little idea here.
The free society that we have. The only way we move forward is through debate, through the exercise of free ideas, and let's see whose idea is best. And that's what's under attack.
Yeah. And you know what's really interesting is I was sort of thinking about when did this all start? Because obviously this whole push towards political correctness didn't begin when I became conscious to it. It began long before it. And I was giving a speech the other night and I was talking about even English words that had real meaning.
Listen.
Right? We've allowed people to take those words, twist the meaning, and then say that we're not allowed to use those words anymore. And I'll give you a perfect example. I'm reading a really old book right now called The Immoralist. It's from pre-World War I. And the word faggot is in the book as it is meant to be a bundle of sticks, right?
That's what it is.
And yet at some point in society, the word faggot, a bundle of sticks, got taken and got assigned to something it never meant, and now we're no longer allowed to say that word, and it gets censored everywhere, which is interesting, right? But what about if it's used in its true context? And I'm reading this book and thinking that. Similarly, it's always bothered me.
You want to use the word faggot in its true context? Candace, you're being held back?
She just wants to say a bundle of sticks.
Exactly. Which bundle of sticks are you referring to, Candace?
It's like, just say that you want to say faggot.
You want to say faggot. You want to hurt. I know. It's like, come on. Just say and move on. I just said it 3 times.
You can say
They won't
faggot.
even let us say it as a bundle. Because you're not saying it as a bundle of sticks. When is the last time you even talked about a bundle of... It's really crazy. So to try to pull this crap, it's just insulting to everyone's intelligence watching, to everybody.
And then all the guys who just want to say faggot for the real reason,
Yeah.
they're like, exactly.
I just want to say it as a bundle of sticks.
It's like,
okay.
she's making all of these people dumber.
Yeah.
Anyways,
because
I
I
just
read
like that
old
part.
books. Retarded is a real word.
Right.
When something is delayed, right?
Right.
When something is, if you said something and I say that was retarded, it was you fired off a response late. But now, at some point, it began to mean that you were always referring to somebody that was mentally incapacitated.
Yes,
but
that's what it is,
we're referring
retards.
to.
That's what I'm referring. And by the way, I don't go, I'm just saying a bundle of sticks. I'm just saying, it means it doesn't work. Like Joe Rogan, all these pussies. A retard is a kid with Down syndrome with that shitty fucking face. A faggot is a gaylord, a dick smith, a cocksucker, a male cocksucker. That's what it is. That's when I use those words, that's what I'm referring to. I'm not afraid to say that. You're such a sneak. You're such a liar. You're going to pretend you're not evil. You're not into these bad words. Be a man. That's exactly right. Every time I've used the word faggot, it's a bundle of sticks, of course.
Anyways,
Please.
you can go to 2725.
Wow, 2725.
Where Bryan talks about his allegations.
Oh, really?
Finally.
We're going to hear about the Alice. 2725. I love a good allegation. It's such a nice look for a guy like this. Oh, look at him. Look at this scumbag, man. Wow. That's going to be an interesting end of his
Someone
life,
says,
too.
has anyone ever seen Candace Owens and Big Boy in the same room?
Who's
Think
Big
about
Boy?
it. That hip-hop guy.
Big Boy. Oh, why?
They kind of look the same.
She looks like Big Boy from Outkast? Wait, who's Big
Wait,
Boy?
I'm thinking of that DJ guy. That's what I thought he meant.
Who's Big Boy?
Like that guy, he was really fat and then he got skinny.
Oh, what is his name? His name's not Big Boy.
What is it?
Maybe it is.
Anyways, never mind.
Okay, yeah, she does look like the skinny version of him from, that hip hop radio show in Los Angeles.
Skull-like head.
Maybe his name is Big Boy. All right, Bryan, you do not look like you want to talk about this right now. And again, I would love to hear the secrets from his wife. Does anyone have his wife's mailing address?
White people.
Let's hear this.
I mean, from what I've seen.
It's
I'm
very
Big Boy. Okay,
it's
it's Big
very
Boy.
true. I really want to talk to you about, because you unbelievably are probably the closest person I'm going to get to be able to speak to something reminiscent, at least, of the Brett Kavanaugh situation, where you as a comedian had an allegation.
Ooh, look at his little, do you see his little feet down there? He can't stop. You got to go bathroom bad, Bryan?
And why does she say you as a comedian had an allegation? It's like the allegation had nothing to do with him being a comedian.
It had nothing to do with being a comedian. There was nothing about jokes. He's never told a sour joke in his life. You know, can anyone name a Bryan Callen joke that is even offensive? Doesn't he sit there and tell Civil War stories and analogies? Look at his little feetsies. He got to take a pee-pee.
Probably the closest person I'm going to get to be able to speak to.
Look at those.
Something reminiscent, at least, of the Brett Kavanaugh
I'd like to chop down his axe like George Washington did the cherry tree. Okay. Is that legal? If you're doing it reminiscent to cutting down a tree?
Where you as a comedian had an allegation from 21 years ago. Yeah. And this is happening
He's
in
smiling.
the present right now.
Yes.
I would never smile. That's how you know these people are lying, when they smirk. People who are accused of things, you don't go, yep, isn't that great? Yep. You go, I'm sickened. I'm fucking sickened by this. I hate this. This sucks. This fucking blows. I can't believe I was accused. I lost it all. You don't sit there and you smile. You don't smile. And you know who smiles? Like Steven Crowder does little smirks. Who else does smirks? Lauren Southern. If you smirk, you're full of shit. Trust me on this.
21 years ago. And a young woman says something happened 21 years ago.
Well, not young, now.
Was young, I guess,
Sure.
21 years ago. And then now made an allegation against you, and wham, you got canceled.
Yes. Everything goes away.
Everything
Who?
goes away.
By who?
Overnight, an allegation.
Everything. Yeah.
Was it proved? Was there? No.
No, and the problem is that whenever something like that happens and it's 21 years old, the only thing you can do really is go, no, I didn't. What else are you going to do? No, I didn't. And what's interesting is that most people say, you just got to, the only way to fight this, sometimes they say, is to just disappear. No, I won't.
But you
I
did.
won't. I know.
You did. You left your big show and you went on Patreon behind like 8 closed locked doors with Sam Tripoli. I mean, it's almost impossible for anybody to find you. You did go away on your own accord.
Who I am. The people that know me know who I am.
No. The people who know you all left you. Whitney Cummings knows you very well. She won't speak to you. Joe Rogan knows you very well. He won't speak to you. The only one is Brendan Schaub. And he won't be seen with you. Have you guys appeared in the same room since this thing?
I don't know.
Couldn't you do a live stream together? Couldn't you do anything together? You and Brendan Schaub, your co-host, have not appeared on camera together since this thing. It's just you and Sam Tripoli, who believes that Tyler Perry eats babies' cunts for breakfast. That's it. All of your friends have left you.
You define yourself along the lines of what you're willing. You define yourself based on what you're willing to fight for. And by the way, die for sometimes on that hill. Right. I'm sorry to be dramatic, but that's who are you in moments of chaos? And unfortunately, sometimes there's nothing you can do.
So I have a question. If somebody, and I'm just trying to figure this out as somebody who works with a bunch of other companies, but if somebody made an allegation against me, I'm 31, 21 years ago would be weird. Candace when she was 11 years old.
She was a child, but precocious. She was an outrageous child, I tell you.
Break!